That's it? Ciao tutti! So in today's video, we're talking about how much things cost here in Italy on a daily and also a month-to-month basis. Very important disclaimer before we begin. The prices that I'm going to mention in today's video are in no ways definitive. These are simply the prices that I pay, so this is just one guy here in a massive city, Rome. You may find that these prices are a little bit cheaper than what you're used to, say, if you're from the United States. However, it's all relative because the salaries are also a bit less here in Italy, but I'll get into that later on in the video. Okay, let's begin. Iniziamo. The first one is cell phones. Personally, I think cell phone plans here are very good. I pay far less than what I did in the United States, and I get everything I need, really. For example, right now I have unlimited calling and I have about 100 gig of data. What more do you need? Oh yes, we need reception. That helps. My cell phone carrier is pretty good. I have fast web. But it's like any carrier. Sometimes you have areas with strong reception, no drop calls, 5G, and sometimes the exact opposite. But that's like any cell phone carrier. I'm only paying €8. It's pretty convenient too. It's deducted right from my bank account. And this is because my home internet and cell phone is all with the same company. So it's just one payment every single month, automatic. Perfect. So what is the average cost for a cell phone plan in Italy? Well, as I've said before, I pay around €8. However, prices have increased a little bit in the past years. Well, the lowest that I'm seeing right now is a new company, I think they're new, called Very Mobile. And they seem to have an offer now for €5 a month. That's dirt cheap. I haven't seen that cheap in a long time. However, that is a bit of an exception. And with that said, I think what you can expect to pay at the absolute lowest is what I'm paying. But other plans seem to be more around above €10, so to speak. So between 10 and €30. Probably closer towards €10, I would say. How much does it cost to rent an apartment here in Italy? Now, to be fair, I haven't rented in nearly 5 years. However, I think it is worth mentioning that the final 3 places where I lived before getting married, I did pay the same amount. This was €450. And the good thing about all these places is that the bills were automatically included in the cost. And this is something that you really want because even before that, I lived in places where the bills were not included. And it was an absolute nightmare to sort it out between you and the landlord. So yeah, you don't want that. Word of caution. There are plenty of people here in Italy who will have you renting under the table. Let the buyer beware. In my opinion, it is better to sign a lease contract and make sure that this contract is registered with the town. Also, and I hope this is standard practice now, do make sure that you pay the owner via a bank transfer. So yeah, you want to avoid just giving them cash. So after filming this video, I decided to go back and double check the prices because, like I said before, I haven't rented it in a long time. So I went to Immobiliare and I put as a price range €300 to €1,000 because I think this is kind of what we're looking at these days. And the places that you're seeing right now are the areas near where I live. So these are what I consider decent places, although I must say the prices have really gone up. Next, let's talk about a favorite of many people, and that is food. Here in Rome, a cup of coffee is probably going to cost you at the lowest 80 cents, and at the most you can expect to pay €1, possibly €1.20, but between 80 cents and €1 is what you're looking at. Pizza, beer? That combination here in Rome is probably going to cost you around €15, I would say. Obviously, give or take. A classic margherita romana, that's probably going to be around €8, I would say. Next, let's talk about gas. So if you're going to be driving here in Italy, then sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with this problem. As you can imagine, this cost is extremely versatile. It changes all the time. So at the time of filming, August 2022, right now, we're looking at around 170, between 170 and 175, and that's just here in Rome. Do keep in mind that this is the cost per liter. And if you do the conversion between liter and gallon, I believe that there are 3.78 liters per gallon. You do the math, I can't handle it, but I think you get the idea. On the subject of driving, let's talk about car insurance. Now, there's good news and bad news with car insurance. The bad news is that it's car insurance. Nobody likes it. The good news is that there's pretty much not much to figure out. Insurance works more or less the same way all over the world. And the key word here is that it depends. It greatly depends on your situation, your age, what city you live in, what car you drive. So I really can't give you a general figure as to how much you can expect to pay every single year in car insurance here in Italy. However, if I had to give a ballpark figure in an absolute general sense, most people probably pay around 500 euros per year. This is something else to keep in mind. Most Italians prefer to pay annually, and it actually makes sense because when you only pay annually, then you are paying a bit less as opposed to paying it twice a year or even in the worst case scenario, every single month. Do keep in mind that if you are driving here in Italy, if you do have a car, then you also have to pay two things. One, the bollo auto, which is the annual tax, and also the revisione. Much like the insurance, I really can't give you an idea of what that is because it really depends on many factors. However, the important thing to remember is that you need to pay them. If by chance you're enjoying today's video, make sure you smash the like button. Thank you. Andiamo avanti. This next one might interest you if you have children and you intend to raise them here in Italy. I've been told by friends in America that what they pay for daycare is a bit atrocious as far as the cost is concerned. So here's how it works in Italy. You pretty much have two options. You can go to a private school or you can go to a state school. Much like car insurance, this cost is also variable. It depends on many factors. The biggest factor I would say is your family. More specifically, how much your family makes. So based on this figure, then this determines how much you will pay at a state daycare. That cost, from what I've seen, could be anywhere between $270 to even $570 per month. I would suggest sending your child to a private daycare if you can afford it, and here's why. At my daughter's daycare, for example, I think there's a better child-to-teacher ratio. Hers is also very clean. Very often we pick her up and her socks are just spotless. And she's also happy to go there too. Something else you might be wondering about are the electric and gas bills. This is also not easy to talk about, especially in times of high inflation. Both of these bills tend to come every 2 months.
Ciao a tutti, sono Valeria. Abbiamo pensato con David di mostrarvi un esempio reale di due bollette. Premesso che molto dipende da quanto tempo state a casa e anche il clima della città dove abitate, noi vi stiamo fornendo un esempio di una città media, di media grandezza in Sicilia, quindi con un clima non troppo freddo e l'esempio è quello di una bolletta che è stata emessa per i primi mesi dell'anno, di un consumo diciamo così normale per il gas, sia per l'uso della cucina che soprattutto per il riscaldamento, e l'altra è invece una bolletta che è stata emessa in questo periodo di forte inflazione e soprattutto di prezzi del gas che sono aumentati notevolmente. Come potrete vedere, il prezzo della fornitura è praticamente raddoppiato. Questo purtroppo è un problema che stanno affrontando tutte le famiglie italiane e speriamo possa risolversi presto con l'intervento del governo.
Now, if these costs seem a little bit less than what you're used to paying, keep in mind that it's all relative. These costs are less because Italians' salaries are less. So, that poses the question, how much do Italians make? So based on my 13 years in this country, I would say that the lowest that I've seen really is maybe between 1,000, 1,100 per month. And please keep that in mind, actually. Italians like to calculate their salaries on a monthly basis, not annual. National average, let's just say that if an Italian told me that they made 1,500 euros per month, I would say that that's pretty normal for Italy. I have seen salaries as high as 2,000, even 3,000 per month, but these tend to be managerial jobs or just jobs that require a higher level of education. I've done my best to guess how much Italians make, and I do realize that this greatly depends on the job you do, where you are in this country, so I've tried. Ci ho provato. So if these salaries seem a bit low for you, they kind of are, actually. If you look at them on a global scale, then I do think that Italy does pay their workers a little bit less compared to other countries. On the topic of average Italian salaries, I'm at my job right now. Now, as to why Italians tend to make a little bit less compared to other jobs in other countries, I'm not really sure. I'm not an economist. So let me hear from you. Why, in your opinion, do you think this is so? Why do Italians tend to make a little bit less than other people in other countries? For this week's expression, I think it's very valuable to learn how to ask, can I pay by bank transfer? And here's how you do it. Posso pagare tramite bonifico? Now, if you are looking to move to Italy and the salaries that I've just mentioned aren't quite appealing to you, then click on the video that you're seeing on the screen right now. Basically, in that video, I talk about working in this country and I give some ideas which are a little bit thinking outside the box, so to speak. Grazie mille per l'attenzione, ci vediamo alla prossima. Thanks for watching, I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.